Hi, I'm Latoya, and this is part two of Coping with Trauma. If you haven't seen part one, take a look. It's full of some information on our physical and emotional response to trauma. Part two, which is this, we're going to look at some more tips and hints on things that we can do to cope with trauma. So I'm going to start with, I have a basic idea. Let's start with a list of not just things to do, but also things to avoid. So it's really important that if you're trying to cope with trauma, you do avoid things like blaming yourself. It never helps. Talk to others. That's really good to talk to other people. Avoid putting demands on yourself. It seems to me you have enough pressure on you at the moment already. Try to avoid, and it is recommended to avoid daily consumption of alcohol. If you haven't managed to do this, there are services available that can help. Unhelpful thinking habits. Now, we're going to look at that in some more detail later on. But also the mind tug of war. Avoid that. What is it even? Let me talk you through. So the mind tug of war, it's when the mind sometimes brings up emotions or memories. It says some really upsetting things that can feel like it's trying to pull us into a pit of fear and despair. So automatically, we pull back harder to stop us from being dragged into the pit. This is the mind tug of war. It's constant and exhausting. The harder we pull, the harder it pulls. But by listening and paying attention, by believing the unhelpful thoughts, and by reacting to how we feel, we inadvertently end up feeding unhelpful thoughts and create certain habits. Now, unhelpful thinking habits, like most habits, develop through our experience. They may have developed as a child and then triggered by trauma, or they may have developed as a result of a traumatic situation or event. It's our brains trying to protect us. Whenever they started, recognizing unhelpful thinking habits can put us in a stronger position to cope. Let's see if you can identify any of these unhelpful thinking habits in yourself. I know I can in me. So, the mental filter. This is when we notice only what the filter allows or wants us to notice, and we automatically dismiss anything that doesn't fit, like looking through dark blinkers or only catching the negative stuff while anything more positive or realistic is dismissed. Instead, we could try, am I noticing bad stuff? Am I filtering out the positives? Predictions. So, this is believing we know what's going to happen in the future. Instead, we could try, am I thinking I can predict the future? And how likely is that? Or how likely is the situation I'm thinking of likely to happen? Mind reading. This is assuming we know what others are thinking, usually about us. Instead, we could try, am I assuming I know what others are thinking? What's the evidence? Those are my thoughts, not their thoughts. Is there another way of thinking about this? Judgments. Make an evaluation or judgments about events, ourselves, others, or the world, rather than describing what we actually see and have evidence of. Instead, we could try, am I making an evaluation about the situation or person? And I'm making that because this is how I make sense of the world. But that doesn't mean that my judgments are always right or helpful. Is there another perspective here? Emotional reasoning. I feel bad, so it must be bad. I feel anxious, so I'm in danger. Instead, we could try, just because it feels bad doesn't necessarily mean it is bad. My feelings are a reaction to my thoughts, and my thoughts are an automatic brain reflex. Catastrophizing. This is imagining the worst possible thing that could happen. Instead, we could try thinking, The worst possible thing really isn't helpful to me right now. What's the most likely to happen? The critical self. This is putting yourself down, self criticism, blaming ourselves for event situations that aren't totally our responsibility. Instead, we could try, is this something I am totally responsible for? Was this outcome my intention? Is this thinking helping me or the situation? The shoulds and musts. This is when we say, I should, or I should have, or I must. These things put pressure on ourselves. Should can sometimes feel like such a blaming word. Instead, consider, rather than should I, we could say, could I? If you could, consider if you want to, and the reasons you want to. Is it for you or for someone else? Compare and despair. Now, this is when we see only the good or positive aspects in other people's lives, and we end up getting upset when comparing ourselves negatively against them. We could take time to consider, am I comparing and despairing? Is this helpful right now? Black and white thinking, believing that something or someone can only be good or bad, right or wrong. We could consider some things aren't totally black and white. There are shades. And where on the spectrum of shade is your situation? Mountains and molehills. Well, this one can work either way. This is when we might imagine the risk, danger, or negatives as larger than it is, or we might be minimizing. We could consider, are my emotions skewing my view? Try to step back and just look at how it would seem if you were outside of the situation. That may help. And then memories. Certain situations and events trigger upsetting memories. We could try reminding ourselves that this is a memory. It is upsetting, but it's not actually happening right now. I'll tell you what you could do. You could try a grounding technique. Let me show you one now. To view more of those useful videos and tips, you can go to My Support Space. So, My Support Space is an online self help resource designed to help you manage the impact that crime has had. It's free, safe, secure, and confidential. There are more videos in My Support Space, and there are also interactive guides, activities, and tips that you can complete in your own pace. All you need to do is go to the address on screen, which is https:// mysupportspace.org.uk. And you can also download My Support Space free from your App Store. You may find some or none of this list useful, but let's have a look. Now, there's lots of things on here that you can try. Things like exercise and building in physical activity into your daily routine. does help. It doesn't have to be strenuous. It could be a full workout if you want it to be, but it could be as simple as going for a walk or doing some sitting exercises. You could keep a gratitude log, things that you're grateful for that day. It could be as simple and as grand as you'd like I joined a webinar today to invest in myself. Visualization. Now this is a powerful technique which gives you respite while training your brain to strengthen and encourage healthy thinking habits. It What it does is it builds new neuro pathways. So let me talk you through it. All you need to do is set a regular time every day for about 5 to 10 minutes. Do this for about a week. Lay or sit in a comfortable position. Close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Whilst doing that, try to remember a past memory when you were really happy. Doesn't matter when the memory was. The point is, the limbic system does have some happy memories stored in there. Pull one out. Pull out a positive event and think about that event in every detail. I mean, the voices, the smells or colours, how it felt. Now for the fun part. Imagine where you want to be or what you want to achieve. Get creative with it and have fun. The point is, it's for about 5 to 10 minutes where you get to choose. Now, that's a bit of neuroscience, which is often used to help with healing and also rehabilitation and training new pathways within people's brains. We've collected tons of tried and tested helpful tips, guides, and workbooks free of charge. So you can download most of them from my support space. You also have access to Silver Cloud, which is a self help online platform. It's based on cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT techniques and principles. It has strategies for depression and anxiety, sleep, stress, and building resilience. All you need to do is go to https://vs.silvercloudhealth.com/sign me up. Silver Cloud isn't suitable if you're enduring complex mental health problems. If this is the case, do seek medical advice for more support. But for more of the tips and hints, and also things like a coping with trauma workbook, it can be downloaded from my support space, and it can be downloaded in English and other languages. I hope that this video has helped you. One of the things that I want you to know and remember is that you are invaluable. So make sure you take good care of yourself. Bye for now.